Welcome to the future. Shit where you please. The Wi-Fi's killer, but there's no more bees. So there's hardly any flowers, there are very few trees, and you'll pay $1,000 for some honey for your tea. But we got these awesome collars, mine's an Apple Model 3. It allows for better movement than the Tesla X Elite. It lets you customize the ads that it implants in every dream. And for premium subscribers, doesn't shock you in your sleep. But it doesn't stop there. It can analyze your speech, and if it hears disinformation, then it notifies police. It's a swift re-education, but it knocks you off your feet like your booster every 7th week. You see, I face the future boldly with 2 eager open eyes, and I picked a couple nuggets up that blew my fucking mind, like you can taxidermy someone while they're technically alive, and they'll shine when it's election time. Because the vote because your Democratic voter base will pay them zero, and never mind if voting for that scarecrow is a vote along their party line. They could stare into its marble eyes and claim there's something dignified. Unlike real politicians, this one doesn't need an oxygen or kit supply. But its function is the same as those who came before. The goals are never misaligned. It still spends all its working time performing pre-recorded fleecing sessions where it sugarcoats your slow and hungry genocide, while pouring billions into Nazi coffers, all the while selling you the story that we're moments till the MiGs arrive. So fucking ask Zelensky if he'll help replace your leaded pipes. Watch a fleet of Penske show, stacks of bills in every size. God, I guess it only took a black sun and a couple hiles. Honorary goose step in some Nazi boots a quarter mile, all while Biden sneers his sordid smile. I don't know what was in this morning's vial, but it makes him stare 1,000 yards through all the prompters and the cards like he can smell the nearest child. His eyes are wide and wild, wider than the grave in which another 1,000 families were tossed in as I typed till they rose up to the sky unceremoniously piled. Which sort of flies right in the face of all this network ticker tape where the American economy has superhuman vitals. You see, I like to think my trial's gonna play like a recital. I'll denounce the world around me and accuse the most entitled, who weaponize their titles, whose pull is something tidal, who would starve us all to death to best delight their blinded idol. So they might destroy the record, and I will never get to vinyl. So my word is not immortal, but it's final. Apple Model 3 slave collar.
Just because I love saying it, from the album Everyone Who Disagrees With You Is an Extremist. This is Depop Culture.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? You safe? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Were you safe? Fresh off the masses, the brand new cancerous growth, who has come here to vie for your vote, who has come here to cry at the camps and to mourn at the shore for the bodies that float by the wreck of an immigrant boat. Then it's back to their luxury home, couple security booths and a moat, couple cigars, little escargot, little booze and a soak. God, just breathe in the steam and the smoke. The pink salt lavender candles are low. Shit, when you do what you do, gotta lighten the load. He got a life of his own, it's a sight to behold. And it's a lot to control, to decipher the code or to siphon the soul. You see, the cost of a good night's sleep for the working elite is a bargain, no matter the toll. It's worth any wager, and that comes straight from the mouth of the means to the goal that will swallow us whole. It's ripe for the picking if you don't mind mold, and you know I don't. Maybe we're pleasantly prone, maybe we're taking a licking, compliantly ticking and ticking and ticking, but never explode. Now I don't deliver the prettiest image, but damn if it isn't an accurate vision, a natural fission of rage at the system and abject heartbreak, patiently waiting for any who'll listen. Cause that little blue bird who is watching your words is a federal carrier pigeon, a Langley first. It's a patient observer who hears what it wants and is trained for the worst. Oh, you got nothing to hide. They'll be the ones to decide that after they root for your purse, after they read all your texts, after they raid your apartment and confiscate all of its contents, conjure up evidence out of the air on a wing and a prayer and malicious intelligence nonsense. With any presumption of innocence long since gone, right along with your comforts and constants. Now historically first they will come for the communists. So why in the fuck would I say I'm a communist? Well, it might be I love my community more than the monsters of opulence who are holding us hostage, who are vomiting promises. Might be I'm all done seeing our pensions and benefits harvested. Might be I'm all done watching the populace being disarmed in the guise of an armistice. Watching a woman collapse on the floor who will rise no more. She is wheeled out the door and you're next in line for the pharmacist. Shit, if you could get me to vote, it's a hard no confidence. But part of the charm of deception is politics wearing the mask of incompetence. It's all in the order of austerity, darling. It's all in the slide of the providence. Till home is as wide as your cubicle height and it's only as deep as your coffin is. Maybe I'm miles away from impatience, aching to break off the head of the snake where the capital lust, reptile brain, and the margin of profit is. Like off with his. Like off with his. I guess this isn't such an awful place. Never what you want me to say. You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. When they told you everything was safe, you say.
Who are these people?
Last track, I think I only blinked once. I skipped lunch, blinked twice. Christ, shut your eyes, now open wide. Fascists took the nation and inflation took a supersize. Now it's sad to say your teachers couldn't quite make the ends collide, but now you'll probably get to see them on the weekends doing Uber drives. See, lube it with a little oil. One, it tastes expensive. Two, you'd be surprised how well it helps you open up your throat so you consume the lie of human rights that was sold to you by suits and ties, designer scents on plastic men with patient fangs and ancient vice. You know, the kind of greed that makes a person lose the sight of morals, so it's easier to sleep at night. It's easier to ease their minds and pick a foreign people we can demonize. If you take a sec to sink into how war criminals think, you'll know you'd never want to see inside. God, if every man's an open book to look within. Theirs are bound in human skin and not designed for human eyes. They are wearing human skin, but they can simply not be humanized. They aren't worth the lowest of the poor they swore to crucify. Holy sweet Geneva, there's a mass grave full of dead believers you called the police on because you don't believe in squatters' rights. You believe the sanctity of human life is relative to human worth in terms of work and dollar signs. So listen when I say you need to find the light of day before it's too late to apologize. Like holy sweet Geneva, here's a mass grave you could colonize. Cause you seem to love to talk about the spirit of America. But if you saw the spirit of this land's supposed character, I think that you'd be calling ICE. And I also think the actual America is truly represented by the call to ICE. Is represented best by the descendants of some immigrants, bitching about the immigrants, snitching on some immigrants, playing dumb and innocent like good little Christians as their neighbors get deported. Until they're screaming at the store because they waited 20 minutes more because the staff was short. All because some ordinary bigot started waging war on immigrants. And we'll just keep deporting because like your first vote and each election since, it turned out that the man you were supporting ended up to just be twice the fucking bigot as the bigot that he wins against. And I was not among the herd. You see, a single word from Biden stirred a tingle in the cynic sense. I knew that a vote for Joe was more like Reagan 2.0. I could smell the sarin smoke that choked around the river bend. And so I spoke about a living end. About an anchor thrown to drowning men, a democratic president, a country never found again. A man who marinated in the blood this land was founded in. A crime bill that contains sufficient lethal ends to drown us in. And all written by a man who wears a crown of sins, who currently is sleeping in a bed of sins. It's no wonder those who truly understand the meaning of democracy are not too keen to let us in. It's no wonder other countries can't conceive of skipping meals or missing rent or being on the streets because you can't afford your medicine. That's uniquely American. And Joe has proved to be the most disturbingly American of presidents. So I shiver when I think of what's to come if he's the precedent. It's a wonder I can even function still to process all the rhyme through all the resonance. Bless my heart, I'm liminally reticent. Standing on a threshold of bone, ash, and sediment, near a faded marker claiming this to be the grave of all my sentiments. Exactly where I left them all and just how I remembered it. It's a wonder I can even function still to process all the rhyme through all the resonance. Bless my heart, I'm liminally reticent. Standing on a threshold of bone, ash, and sediment, near a faded marker claiming this to be the grave of all my sentiments. Exactly where I left them all and just how I remembered it.
Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA and our institutions, then what do you trust?
I love it. Oh, I love it. That was perfect. For a split second, I thought you found the clip, and then I was like, oh, even better, he's doing it live.
Who are these people?
Hey everybody, we're back.
Hey y'all.
It's
How's it
another
going?
It's another week of wait, I got it now on a stream on a soundboard.
Nobody wants to work anymore, I guess. I guess. That's perfect.
I put it on the board. Yes, I had to. Because of course
We're fucked.
Yes. Yeah, so we're starting off well. This is of course nobody wants to work anymore on INN. I am Indie. This is the Snow Himbo, who's starting a new job tomorrow. So very exciting.
I got a bit of an update on that. It's bittersweet for me. Just because I just opened our work computer and it's a fucking MacBook, and I'm like a super PC guy. It's not going to be a huge deal, but yeah, I was expecting like some nice like computer tech, like some high end PC or something. And then open it up and it's an Apple product. And one thing that I've never, I think, revealed is that I've never purchased an Apple product. So yeah, that'll take a little getting used to. I'm going to ask them tomorrow, like, do I have to use this fucking computer, or can I just use my computer, which is probably a lot better, and more importantly, not in Apple because I built it from scratch. But yes, I am starting the new job tomorrow. I'm excited, kind of nervous. Got a bit of the imposter syndrome shit going on, but whatever.
You had 4 or 5 days off. You got to play a whole bunch of CS3.
Yep. Got to game a lot, got to hang out with the wife a lot. It's been a little rough just because we've had to go to Emerge like 5 days in a row for antibiotic treatment for my wife because she's got like some kind of nasty infection. So it's interesting because like I'm starting this new job and it almost feels like the universe is just like throwing everything it possibly fucking can at me at once. And I'm just like, no, fuck you. I'm sorry, I'm done. And yeah, my last day was super fun. I've already got coworkers being like, dude, what did you do? I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. I hope you guys leave soon. Please get out.
Shitted and farted. Yes.
Lots of shitting and lots of farting.
Well, you did send me a small video. I might have to clean up the audio a little bit in that video that you recorded. And we'll see if we can get that in there tonight. For this episode. Otherwise, we'll clean it up and put it in next week. But that'll be fun. What else happened? Did some project stuff. That was fun. I worked on some editing for Jesse, and we put out a bunch of videos for that today. Still been watching LinkedIn. It's funny. One of my friends last week put up a job, a link. He says, there's some great jobs at the company I'm working at. You should go check it out. So I go and I look at the link. Okay. I happen to be on the road. And I'm like, so I messaged him and I'm like, this one that I'm looking at is interesting. Do you want to refer me? How do you want to do this? Okay. You should just go and fill out the resume. And if you use that link, the application, if you use that link, then it'll automatically register that it came from me. Okay, cool. So I go back the afternoon, literally 5 o'clock. It was noon that I messaged him. 5 o'clock, job's gone. They pulled it.
Oh my God.
His message to me was, hey, they are actually kind of looking for a unicorn, and I applied for it myself and got rejected. Good luck. I hope that you get it, but 4 hours later, it was gone. And it's gone, is what it felt like. Like, come on. And it was a pretty decent gig with a nice base and pretty good qualifications that I met. So I thought it would be a good fit, but they might have found somebody internally or just decided they weren't really going to need someone now for that.
Or the job was never real to begin with. Sure. I mean, if it's a good job with a good pay, then they really can't afford. They absolutely can afford to look for a unicorn or get someone massively overqualified just because they can now. Companies know what's out there. Yeah. They know all those poverty wage jobs that people are forced to take, and the second that a company is like, hey, we're gonna pay you living wage, they're gonna get like 300, 400 resumes. I know people who are going through it right now. I mean, shit. When they found out I was leaving, I had like three, I guess, ex coworkers now reach out and be like, "Take me with you. Can you refer me? Can you get me in, please?" Just because it wasn't anything like exceptional. It just that this company kind of pays like not poverty wages. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, it pays you like a decent salary for the labor you produce. Um, and it's really sad that we've gotten to the point where it's like we've gotten to the point where literally excuse me. We've gotten to the point where like there's this massive dog pile just for someone to get paid like a wage they deserve, so to speak. And I mean, you know, even if you work the lowest job, you should still make enough to live. But unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in as we drift closer and closer to reenacting Cyberpunk 2077.
Well, and on that front, one of the things, you know, gig economy / side hustles, whatever you want to call it. Over the weekend, I was at a party and started chatting it up with somebody who's a doctor, and I was talking about this webinar I was watching with my wife and critiquing the webinar and talking about how because I do this, now I watch things a whole lot differently, and that the webinar would have been a whole lot better if the person had just done these two different things. And this doctor turns to me and says, "Oh, really? You know, I'm supposed to be going on like doing like a TV appearance later this month." And I'm like, "Well, I'd be happy to give you some coaching and some tips and kind of walk you through it." Absolutely, that sounds good. So I may end up with some kind of an hourly, you know, to hear consulting type of gig with someone who'll be on TV for all we know. And that sounds pretty
cool.
interesting, right? You know, pick up a little extra cash here and there using the knowledge acquired through doing all of this. And just
My gut
cool.
tells me that's where we'll eventually all end off. I think this is probably going to end up somewhere eventually where it's like, I don't know, just it's instinct. But that's good. That's cool.
Something, man. It's rough. Like you start to see people on LinkedIn, and I'm seeing it now, like more veterans that are coming out and posting and saying open to work type of stuff. And I recently got laid off, and I've decided to make a change, and we're parted ways with my org, and I'm open to having conversations. And I wish them all the best. I just know it's been rough out here for me personally, and I've got experience, qualifications, connections, and production, and a base. It's just not. It's the synapses, whatever, and that's frustrating, man. And that's what we're doing here is venting about it. So
I wouldn't even feel bad, honestly. I'm looking on LinkedIn and I'm looking at people I've worked with, and I know they're absolute killers, right? Like they're top of their game, rock stars, incredible connections, all the recommendations, and they're even there like, "Hey, so I'm looking for work. I'll basically do anything. Please help. I'm going to be dead in a month."
right.
No, not that serious, but it's literally like, I'm seeing people who have like incredible, insane connections and credentials and all the good stuff. And they're basically advertising on LinkedIn like, "Hey, anyone, just please hire me. I need a job." So it's we're pretty down bad.
Yeah.
For the time being at least.
Totally. You know, I brought some stuff this week to share on screen, and I thought they were pretty interesting. So this is one this is about the narrative management of the world. And if you look here, these are some of the largest corporate, I wouldn't call them mainstream because they're not mainstream. I've written a whole article about that, which you should go check out at some point. Let's hide my bookmark tab. But at some point, I wrote an article about how corporate media is under control. It was earlier this year, and we should all unplug from it. Now, one of the things that happens is that Reuters, the Associated Press, and Voice of America are the three largest disseminators of corporate narrative across the board to the corporate media. So they serve as like a hub where a story is written and then sent out to all the news bureaus at all these corporate media organizations, which then usually print the story practically verbatim. They might whack up a word or two. They might change the headline slightly, or they might just literally print it as is. And this is an example. Now, first of all, this came out of a Twitter post from our friend Amazon Piss Jugs, which I thought was hilarious. And it was showcasing this narrative about retailers losing all this money, surging in their losses as retail crime spreads, right? So it went from 93 to 112 billion. They're already losing 93 billion in 2021. That was during the pandemic. So you had people staying at home still during 2021, not fully locked down, but there certainly were still in California elsewhere. That would certainly contribute to a large percentage of that. But on top of all of that, this is fear mongering. Because my question is, what was the retail profit from all the organizations that contributed to this 112 billion in losses?
Exactly. And that's like so much of the corporate press operates in this whole like we need to like present a narrative in like a vacuum. Because it's like even if they made like 500 billion, they're just going to report on the losses because the point of this is to discourage this. Not to mention it's hilarious how they're framing it as like organized crime wave. You ever think that maybe people are just fucking poor and they're stealing from corporations because fuck you? We work for corporations and we don't make enough to live.
Organized crime wave. Really? They're hitting the trucks and everything. It falls off the trucks to the tune of $112 billion. Really? It doesn't fall off the shelves because so what are they doing now? They're putting, locks behind everything, behind locks and fences and gates, and it's ridiculous. But the number being across the board. Now this happens to be disseminated across business and right-wing media. Business Insider, Biz Journals, New York Post, Fox Business, Rupert Murdoch owns stuff, and then Washington Examiner, also right wing. So they're trying to perpetrate the fear mongering among business class and among the owner class and among the conservative class, quote unquote, to, oh, look at all these greedy takers, these 112 billion. Meanwhile, it's 500 or 700 or $1 trillion when you combine. I don't know what the number is because I don't know how many companies combined to that 112 billion, but it's going to be substantially in the multiples of how many. It's just the corporate gaslight.
That's because conservative media is always going to side with the CEO over the workers. That's the whole thing.
That is.
And this is just another great example of like, let's ignore the problem, like the elephant in the room that everybody deep down know. Even the most hardcore conservatives, I think deep down they know this. I'm convinced that we all kind of get what the fucking problem is, but they have to paint this, and it seems almost like another vein of like the whole like immigrants are taking your job sort of cope, where it's like, let's blame like the poor stealing from people as opposed to like the actual reasons behind all of this. Yes, wage theft, and also the fact that this isn't working anymore. We all know it's not working anymore. Even somewhat, I mean, even the new job I'm starting, I mean, it's okay. Hey, is it enough that I'm going to feel completely safe from day to day? Fuck no. And that's the thing, even if you luck out and you get one of those bomb gigs, it's still like you can't really do much with it. But yeah, I digress.
Right. So that's retailers gaslighting us through their media and saying, well, you need to. This is why we need to get rid of more urban stores, for example, why we need to ramp up more security, and we need to spend more of the profits that we would ordinarily have on bullshit security that doesn't really need to be if you just paid people more in general and they didn't need to rob the store. Now,
this is all just manufacturing consent for giving corporations more power.
Mhm.
That's it. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. This is all just different ways of saying, like, we need to give the corporations more power. And if you want to know where this is all headed, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I'll just mention it a third. Type into Google stakeholder and then capitalism and just have fun. Let's go on.
Well, I love applying for jobs. So many great options. I would like to be paid poorly, or I would like to work for someone evil. Oh, cool. This one's both. I hold my destiny in my hands. Yeah.
Dude, applying for jobs nowadays is basically like, do you want chaotic evil or lawful evil? Maybe neutral evil. No, good's out of the question. So is neutral. It's varying degrees of evil on the alignment chart, and that's all we got to offer, really.
Now, I'm not exactly sure how this fits in, but I thought it was kind of funny too, even though you sent it to me, which was, and I'll blow this up a little bit, naming your child after a fictional character. So I don't even know who Khaleesi is, but
she's from Game of Thrones.
Okay. So that's, and then of course Rajashi Indian Restaurant. Rajshahai. Yes, considering my name is also that, imagine how confusing it would be if I got a job there. Yes. I'm so proud of you, Chad's son. With the cross.
Whoever made this is the kind of bullshit I make with memes. It's just like, I'm going for like the highest absurdity I can get away with while still being funny.
Why are they devoutly Christian? I just noticed they're both wearing crosses around their necks.
I think the point of that is to give it more contrast.
I've never noticed
there's
that
probably
before.
There's probably someone who's way more well-versed in memes and be like, no, the meme format has the crosses automatically. Listen, I'm in my 30s, guys. Like, there's only so much I can keep up with.
Whatever, man. I thought that was funny. So
it is funny though, because it adds to the contrast, because it's like we're naming a completely different culture and we're totally separate. It's a little unnecessary, but
this is Joe. I like Joe. This isn't the same Joe that we have at INN. This is a different Joe. But Joe went out and surveyed his town for worker shortages. Turns out that jobs paying $30 an hour more, there's no shortage of workers. And from 25 to 30 an hour, still no shortage of workers. And even from 20 to 25 an hour, amazingly enough, there's just no shortage of workers.
Wow. The whole problem just evaporates like that.
Start to get into 15 to 20 an hour, couple of help wanted signs, and jobs paying under 15 an hour, which in a lot of places is illegal. Shortage. Well, if only there was a solution.
Oh no.
Joe figured it out. Hey people.
Yeah. Well, the solution currently, I guess, is hire kids and bring back child labor, because we just live in clown galaxy as of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
That is somebody's plan for sure. All right, Canadian.
Oh.
I had to hit you with this one. Since this made you laugh, well, we've got to make fun of your parliament. Anthony Rhoda had to step down, and Krista Friedland still thinks that clutching her hands and saying nothing whatsoever and having as much a word salad as Kamala Harris is the right way to go when being asked about condemning and cheering, whether you should condemn or cheer Nazis. So we're in clown world now.
I'll say it a million times over. As someone who studied psychology, that's like, she's trying. Okay, you seem like she's somewhat composed, but as someone who's trying to hide obvious anxiety on camera, I can tell you that woman was probably having a panic.
Oh, that hand
Like,
squeeze
straight
was
up.
all the tell. Oh yeah.
Straight up. It's like, if you're trying to keep your shit together completely and you're still giving off tells that bad, no, dude. If that camera weren't rolling, she'd be hyperventilating into a bag. Like, that was just like, oh shit. Everybody's gonna find out that we're just a bunch of Nazis.
Yeah. Well, remember that this all started out with, again, there are no Nazis in Ukraine. Now,
nope, none.
I'm not going to play the video, but if you go to our INN Rockfin channel, there are 4 videos, a series of 4 videos that our friend Joe, hi, it's me, Joe, and again, I'm not going to play it, but there is certainly there are 4 videos about no Nazis in Ukraine, and you could go to Rockfin. Now you can watch Rockfin channels for free. This is not, you don't have to pay to join Rockfin. You can watch Rockfin for free. Rockfin.com/INN. I just wanted to mention that. Joe did make some videos showcasing that there are a lot of Nazis in Ukraine. And in that vein, Danny Haifong did a stream about it, and Robert Durden funnily posted this link to the Scott Ritter video where they're streaming. But what I thought was hilarious was just using the SS for the messed up. Just, that was messed up. By the way, Danny. Damn.
That was pretty chef's kiss, I'm not gonna lie.
That
was a good touch.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we're at. And the hilarious thing is, like, I'm just seeing more doubling down every day. Which, I'm sorry guys, but all the red flags should be going off in your brain where you're like, wait a minute. Why is there such a lockstep effort to beg for nuance when it comes to Nazi shit? Why is that happening? It's because the reality is, with liberals and conservatives, both of them, conservatives far more obviously, if they had to choose a side between Nazis and communists,
they choose Nazis every time.
Every time. And that one article we all saw where it's like, just because someone fought against the USSR doesn't make them a Nazi. That's all you got to hear. Because the subliminal messaging there.
Oh, we're going right now. Like, we're going that right now. Here we go. Okay, now. I did not have Finding Nazi Apologia on Substack notes in my 2023 bingo card. However, in response to this Racket News, Matt Taibbi and Walter Kern, America This Week, that's the podcast, making fun of the fact that they were saluting a Nazi. This person, I'm a little disgusted with the portrayal of Hunka as a Nazi who participated in the Holocaust, and then explaining that they were faced with the choice of submitting to another Russian invasion and pogrom against the Ukrainians. I think that's known. I don't even want to discuss it. Okay, this was long before the atrocities of Nazi Germany were known. No, it wasn't. And almost half Americans didn't care in the least about what they were up to. What? And when? Okay. So then he, of course, quotes from the Euromaidan Press. I'm not going to link to it. I shit you not. And those who oppose are helping Ukraine fight Russia with everything we can't possibly spare. Jump on this kind of repugnant bandwagon. Yes. So a Jew, no less. Hunka fought in the Waffen SS. And that's what Fisto had to say. Fuck you and your downplaying of the horror of war. Basically, he was like, well, he had no choice.
No, he had to, because he had to. Guys, I'm just going to set the record straight here. If you think If you think the USSR committed atrocities anywhere close to the level that Adolf fucking Hitler did, your brain has been turned into soup by McCarthyite propaganda. And you should read a little more and understand a little more. Because I don't know what else to say to you. Nazis and communists, I know a lot of conservatives will try to be like, they're the same thing. They're actually on they're polar opposites on a fucking spectrum, okay? Fascism and communism aren't the same thing. And stop treating them as such, because that's what the rich and powerful want you to do. Because as usual, they never want you to figure out the solution to the problem of you being anxious every week that you're not going to be able to pay a bill or make rent or any of these other things, because our whole world is owned by fucking corporations. And that's where we're at in 2023.
Certainly not the final solution. There we go. Good proof that there's nothing off the table when it comes to justifying whatever nonsense Team Blue's up to. Just don't call me a Trump supporter, am I right? They're the real Nazis. That's my favorite comment in response. That's awesome.
My buddy said something funny over the weekend. He's like, you know what? I think I'm going to become a right winger just out of spite.
Well, Oz has been talking about voting for Trump just out of spite to the liberals at this point in Washington.
Just because of a fuck you.
They're going to go blue, and Washington's likely going to go blue anyway, so you might as well. I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, first off, this was a big one. This happened while we were gone, while we were gone in the last week. Starbucks, NLRB, finds that Starbucks breaks the law by refusing to give raises to union workers. Why? Because they created a two-tier thing, and that they sought to manipulate employees' free choice by making them choose between a raise and unionizing. And now they have to give raises and back pay to thousands of workers. Now, what about the ones that aren't unionized? Like, aren't they now being slighted to the ones who are, technically, even though they're getting the same pay and everything? They don't have the benefit of a union.
And this is why, guys, I talk so much about everybody's job, just my opinion, but everybody's job lately. And everyone's like, but what'll we do is outside of voting? Go out there and help create class solidarity. Okay? Because we have unions, and unions are great. But the end goal should be us all, the whole working class, being one big union. And we have so much class solidarity that we basically can say, hey, fuckers, you have to pay us fairly, or we're all just not going to work. And then you're going to have to take the phones.
Does that France?
Well, they at least go harder than we do in North America.
They go a whole lot harder.
Where we're all like, well, I guess Canada is a pass now, because, if we try and go as hard as France now, we know what's going to happen now, don't we? Hey, why can't I take out $20? Fuck.
Worked for over 10 years with Starbucks. Can't tell you how true what the current partners are saying about how the company treats its workers. I'm so glad the mask is off with Howard Schultz. Dude's a total fraud. So happy the partners are unionizing. Solidarity with all of you. And this is, show me the money. Show me the money. Yeah, that's great. Show them the money absolutely all day. So show them the money. Happy to see that. And then we also have a strike on the way, a 3-day strike that's been authorized. Let's see if Kaiser Permanente caves, but tomorrow morning, October 4th through 6th, in 12 states, all 12 Kaiser locals authorized a strike from October 4th through 6th. So we've got Starbucks getting in trouble. We got nurses and all the workers of Kaiser Permanente. It's not just the nurses at this point. Why? Could take a guess.
Yep.
Skimpy pay from the highly profitable hospital and clinic chain. So, not just short staffing and low pay, it's because they refuse to bargain in good faith. This is the other thing that we keep seeing happening, is we can't get corporate to the table to negotiate and bargain with the union for a first contract.
Wait, we can't get corporations to act in good faith? Really?
Well, they are
Fuck.
made of the workers. So without the workers, they aren't a corporation. So in that way, you would
Nope.
think they would want to do that, but they just seem
It
to,
just,
yeah.
I'm sorry, it's it's so like brain dead to the point where like if aliens came down, they would just be like, wait, so you've got a whole group of people that are working together and none of them have any say, just like some person at the top does, but they don't even do the work. Really? What are you guys doing? This is why everybody's poor and nobody can afford rent. Just solve the problem. Like like it's
Deities.
so absurd. The more you think about it, the more fucking absurd it is. It's like, okay, wait, so this person that just kind of waddles in and like has a couple fucking meetings is making all the money. What? Because he took like some risk at the beginning of the business cycle where he was like, "Oh, well, I had to invest in a business and these upfront costs." Great. Let's have a system where we just get rid of that. And
Well,
then it can just be the workers doing work. How about that? No, you want
no,
to.
no, I think there's a better way, which is that originally you get the minute that the business becomes profitable enough to buy out your original investment, it then becomes property of the workers.
Yeah.
I think that, or give you a fair, double your money, a 100% return on investment. Once you hit 100% return on investment, what they would then do is start to wash out all the expenses so that they never hit 100% and continue to keep it as a corporation as long as possible. But even still, it's not that long before you double your profit. And
No, but
that,
it's like that's just like the biggest. Sorry, I should have explained more, but again, squirrel burn.
no, go ahead.
The that's just the most common like argument I get from like capitalism sims where they're like, but what about the business owner? What about their expenses? What about what they've invested in? I'm like, okay, so we just have to keep a naturally exploitative system that is bad for the majority of people participating in it
Yep.
because business owners like invested some money. Are you high?
It's a
Like,
business
there's no
people.
universe.
Because of
There's
the
no
owner
universe
class.
that
Yep.
makes sense.
Because of the owner
It's
class.
just, it's so fucking silly. And I wrote an article on this, but it's like, oh, well, just start your own business. You can have blah, blah, blah. No, nobody has money to start their own business, my guy. Nobody.
Nope.
Nobody's got that capital.
Go take a loan from a
Okay?
bank. Yeah, good luck getting that.
Yup.
All right, Kaiser
Especially if you got
patients
a bad-
deserve better. They'll have to walk because Kaiser won't pay enough to provide decent patient care. Ugh,
Oh my god.
fucking terrible.
Damn, I thought we were done with the black pills, but this is gonna be a better one, guys. I promise.
They outsource work to non-union temps and do low-wage fixes. Even during the last contract, they outsourced its claims processors. Unless there's damages stopped, they'll work their way down to the lowest level, lowest paid workers, which is what their plan is. And then what they're looking to do is monopolize the health systems in certain areas so that you have no choice but to go to them, and then they can staff it however they want, and they'll still get paid.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pay people enough to retain them, then they walk out the door. Not enough is what Kaiser wanted. Raise of 3%, 3%, 2%. That's all these people want. 4433 in Northern California, 3%. With all that wages have and costs have gone up, and all the costs and expenses and food and gas and everything have gone up, they're looking for 3% a year, 2% a year built into a contract. Wow. And they're not even getting that. I would walk too.
Yep.
Yep. They wait endlessly to see us already, patients, and we're too rushed, stressed out, exhausted to give them the care they deserve. Millionaire executives, something has to change. They don't give a fuck. None of these proposed
That's what
raises are
happened.
acceptable. Mm-hmm.
That's what happened at my company. And I'm hearing it from like employees that are still at my last place of work. They're like, "Oh my god, dude, everything's like falling apart. I can't believe like just because one person. But probably because people are quitting in droves as well. But it's like they'd rather drag their heels and remain firm on like, nope, we gotta pay you dog shit. And create massive problems for the company that they just have to figure out. Sometimes they can't figure it out. They'd rather do that than just pay a little bit more. Just pay enough so that people, okay, can have like somewhat okay mental health. So they're not panicking and stressing about money every day of their lives for the rest of their lives, which aren't even that long. I mean, fuck, can you imagine? Can you imagine being poor and being at the end of your life and being like, fuck, I did nothing but worried about money and scramble around for 85 years of my life. And now I'm at the end of it and I have nothing to show for it. Guys, we can do better than this. We can do
Yeah.
way better than this.
We should. The next 3 years of COVID, right, that killed hundreds of healthcare workers, burned out tens of thousands. So nation respected them, still does, but the bosses don't. And that's, I think, a big line right there. Their bosses don't respect them. And you can see that in the fact that they won't pay them. And not just at Kaiser. National Nurses United reported its local at St. Louis, a hospital, voted 94-6 on September 2nd to authorize a strike. And they expired last week too. So now we've got the St. Louis RNs report chronic short staffing of nurses and ancillary staff. I've covered this on How Do We Miss That with Reef. The vacancy rate is 30%. Short staffing jeopardizes patient and staff safety and also results in increased workplace violence. Sure, because when people don't get the care, they start to act out in time, you know, because they're like, my relative is bleeding out or something's happened and they want to do something about it. So that sounds, at least 1/3 of my members are considering leaving, on top of the fact that they're dying already to keep people. So Kaiser used to be an industry leader. Now they're failing to work together with frontline healthcare workers. And that is not a surprise because they are making hand over fist cash. So again, nobody wants to work anymore, right? No, they don't want to
Nobody
work
wants to work anymore.
They don't want to work for shitty pay.
I guess.
I wanted to call attention to, and I did a whole big segment Sunday night with Reef about and railing about how the corporate media is lying and gullible and desperate for a win and to report a win for any workers, but specifically auto workers and the UAW against the auto manufacturers. And this is, and I'm going to call these guys out now. This is the Opt-Out News app. And I had a lot of hope when they first came out. They came out right about the same time that I started Independent Left News. And I made a website. They made a website. They focused on making an app. And it was headed by Walker Bragman and some other guy, Alex Koch, I believe it was. And they amplified a lot of the same organizations and shitlib papers that I used to early on. And I found that I was kind of moving away from that group. And this is kind of the group now that I am halfway out the door of, and seeing the way that they're covering this strike further pushes me away from them. So first is the Real News Network that is talking about and apologizing for the stand-up strike, not apologizing for it, but trying to explain the strategy and the reasoning behind the 90-year-old tactic that was used, that hadn't been used in 90 years. Nobody ever asked why it stopped being used, but that I digress there. You got the American Prospect, David Day, and they do some really good kind of nerd egghead work once in a while. They'll look into the numbers, but again, shitlib Apologia, very much so. Squad level stuff. Hopeful that Democrats are better than Republicans. That's the one thing that all of these four publications that are independent, they all lean to the fact that they think that Democrats are better than Republicans, and they're not. They're just not. And stop doing it, because you are the reason why we can't have good things. If you guys would get on board and realize that they're just as bad as the Republicans that you claim that they're fighting against, well, we would start to actually seeing good things happening. But they just, I don't know if they're following the money or if they just, I don't know. But in these times as well, a worthwhile piece about, and they get things right occasionally, just often enough that people will still plug into them. Status quo, also same type of thing. Showing up on the front lines, talking to striking auto workers, and then giving a tongue-bathing interview to Sean Fain and acting like you're his PR agent. Bro,
That's kind of the strategy, though. It's always lesser evilism. It's
Luigi
always
Morris over at Left Voice is hardcore. Who's the guy that I was also thinking about? That Luis Feliz Leon over at Labor Notes. He's been doing Apologia for the bosses, it feels like, for the last month, and gaslighting and making it act like it's all for the workers. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Won't somebody please? Oh, I totally forgot what I was saying. Won't somebody please think of the CEOs? That's all I read with so many of these articles. It's just like, even if they're pretending it's for the workers, it's like, well, we also have to consider like the people that don't do work and just kind of make the decisions.
Right. Well,
so fucking goofy. So
and on
clownish.
This note, there was a guy. Now, this guy, Joe Mayall, Joe wrote. He actually writes for Jacobin, believe it or not. But I like him. I hope you like Charts and Arithmetic. And this is a long piece, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But I love his headline, which is that the big three automakers could accept every UAW demand and still be extremely profitable. And he's got the math and everything to prove it in here. What are the UAW demands? Well, here they are. They want a 36% pay increase. Now, remember we saw that Kaiser, the nurses are looking for 3% a year. 3%, 3%, 2%, 2%. These guys want 36%.
The problem is, it's not about still being profitable. It's that we're at a point where it's like, okay, but they would be less profitable. And that's all they care about. It's just like, oh, well, we wouldn't be as profitable. And because all of our roles essentially kind of hinge on how much surplus value we can extract from the working class and pay them as little as humanly possible, then even if we can take what's technically a huge W, we're not going to fucking take it, and fuck you, because we can take a bigger W if we just shut them all out and expend as much resources as possible to just continue with the status quo.
That's it. The status quo. Oh, sorry. So 32-hour work week, that's a big one. I have a feeling they're going to end up having to negotiate that one away. But if they can get 30%, 40-hour work week, cost of living increase of 2% or whatever per year, which match their wages to inflation, because if they need to increase for inflation, that's fair. Otherwise, you're losing ground every year. Pensions for every employee reinstated and starting to do that again and ending to the two-tier wage system. That's all they want. And it's not really that bad. But like he says, while auto executives are trying to make these requests sound unreasonable and sure to hurt the economy, the numbers show that they can afford everything the workers have asked for. Go figure.
It's going to hurt the economy. Whenever you hear it's going to hurt the economy, all that means is it's going to result in capitalists being able to buy one less yacht per year. That's hurting the economy. When they refer to the economy, it's never, and this is across the board, especially when Trump bragged about the economy. When they refer to the economy, they're not referring to the working, like the living conditions of you or me. That's not who they're referring to. When they refer to the economy, they're referring to how well it's going for the business class, the owner class, That's what they refer to as the economy, because they think, oh, well, these are the people that create jobs and wealth and give us all these awesome things, which is the biggest fucking lie under this pyramid scheme of an economic system we're forced to endure.
So this is a chart that they put up showing the real average hourly work earnings for production for non-supervisory workers. This is for the actual worker class.
Mm-hmm.
And showing that for parts and for vehicle and parts workers, it's 10% drop in real wages. For vehicle manufacturing, it is almost a 20% over real wages, because they only get to negotiate every 5 years. Here's how they achieved more than $250 billion in profits over the past decade between the three of them. And that they, again, can't afford to do this. Here are the forecasted big three profits. Factoring in the demands, they would still end up with over $100 billion in profits over those 10 years. That's still pretty nice, right? He's got other charts. Joe brings it. Joe has some good stuff. So not all Jacobin is horrible, but I'm glad he doesn't put this on Jacobin and he puts this on his Substack. Joe wrote, and you can $15 a year. You can support him and become a paid subscriber. At some point, I will upgrade because I think that he does some really good work.
Yeah, this was dope.
Yeah,
I'm feeling this.
Right. So I know you brought this other article about coming back to the office, and this is one of our themes that I know we've been talking about. Feels like every week, which is this dystopian squeeze from the bosses to push everybody back to work. But not just back to work, but back into the office versus work from home or flexible working or a hybrid work schedule, which is what everybody's been kind of talking about as what seems to be the model moving forward. But what a surprise. Now, this is D-Hole Moments, which I like that title at all. You know, in general, I didn't know this website. I wasn't familiar with it, but it's really good. But of course, I love this headline. Return to office is bullshit, and everyone knows it. So I'm going to let you go through this one if you want. I'm
definitely happy to do so.
This is a funny one that I thought you'd enjoy because you did this as well. And I don't know if did you write this? I'm kidding.
No, I didn't. I'm not. That doesn't look entirely like me. If I keep growing out the beard, maybe.
Well, he's got a home in Florida, so it could more be Reef, but it's not Reef either.
Oh, I die in Florida, so definitely not.
I
quit my job. I quit my job towards the end of last month. When I started this blog, I told myself, don't talk about work. Since my employment is in the rearview mirror, I'm going to bend that rule for once, and most likely only this one time. Why? Since I wrote a whole series about how to get into tech for as close to $0 as possible without prior experience, I feel like admitting my feelings would be on some level dishonest. Refusing forced relocation. I had been hired in 2019 for a cryptography team at a large tech company. I was hired as a 100% remote employee with the understanding that I would work from my home in Florida. Then a pandemic started to happen, which continues to be... Okay. The COVID-19 pandemic forced a lot of people who preferred to work in an office setting to sink or swim in a remote work environment. In early 2020, you could be forgiven for imagining that this new arrangement was a temporary safety measure that we would adopt for a time and then one day return to normal. By mid-2022, only people that cannot let go of their habits and tradition continue to believe that we ever return to the normal that they knew in 2019. As someone who had been working remote since 2014, as soon as the shift happened, many of my peers reached out to me for advice on how to be productive at home. This was an uncomfortable experience for many of them, and as someone who was comfortable in a fully virtual environment, I was happy to help. By early 2021, I was considered to not only be a top performer, but also a critical expert for the cryptography organization. My time ended up split across 3 different teams, and I was still knocking my projects out of the park. But more importantly, junior employees felt comfortable approaching me with questions, and our most distinguished engineers sought my insight on security and cryptography questions.
Right.
It became an inside joke of the cryptography organization not to let me ever look at someone else's source code on a Friday, because I would inevitably find at least one security issue, which would inevitably ruin someone's weekend. I suppose the reasoning was that if the source code in question belonged to a foundational software package, it carried the risk of paging the entire company as we tried to figure out how to mitigate the issue and upstream the fix. Parentheses, I never once got earnestly reprimanded for finding security bugs, of course. I can't really go into detail about the sort of work I did. I don't really want to name names either, but I will say that I woke up every day excited and motivated. The problems were interesting, the people were wonderful, and there was an atmosphere of respect and collaboration.
Wait a minute. I'm smelling fucking Fed vibes all day here for a minute. I'm sorry. So I can't go into detail about the sort of work I did, and I'm finding security bugs and cryptography organization. I'm just saying. All right, keep going.
I mean, this could be a Fed that's disgruntled with their job, which is why I skipped a sort of line up there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Made me feel a little sus.
It's still happening, everybody. It's still happening.
We're all dying. It couldn't be anything else. Look it up for yourself, yo. Despite the sudden change in working environment for most of the cryptography organization in response to COVID-19, we were doing great work in cultivating the same healthy and productive work environment that everyone fondly remembered pre-pandemic.
Right.
And then the company's CEO decided to make an unceremonious, unilateral, top-down decision based entirely on vibes from talking to other CEOs rather than anything resembling facts, data, or logic. No shit. But they're leaving something out that we've already covered. Everyone must return to the office and virtual employees must relocate.
Wow.
Exceptions would be few, far between.
Require a C-level to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Good luck getting
Good luck getting it. Yep. Hey, tech workers, stop me if you've heard this one before. To the credit of my former managers, they sprung this dilemma on me literally the day before I went to a hacker conference, a venue full of hiring managers and technical founders. You went to
Thanks, dude.
You went to a hacking conference, huh, bud?
Well, no,
okay.
They sent, not only that, but they sent him to a hacker conference, effectively. He went on, he's a security guy on behalf of them. He happens to be going, and then they're like, yeah, dude, you have to relocate, or they're basically trying to tell him, go find another job because we're going to make you have to come into the, like, literally relocate so you can come into the office. So
this is a good part. I like this. On ultimatums, if I had to give only one bit of advice to anyone ever faced with an ultimatum from someone in power over them, be it an employer or abusive romantic partner, it would be ultimately never choose the one giving you an ultimatum. As someone who's been in both of these, I would say that is some base advice. Anyone who's like, you have 2 options, tell them to go fuck themselves. That should be a golden rule of life. If your employer tells you move to an expensive city or resign, your best move will be in the end to quit. Notice that I said in the end. Perfectly okay to pretend to comply, to buy time while you line up a new gig somewhere else. That's what I fucking did. Except they didn't give me an ultimatum. I just said, like, your pay is dog shit. And they're like, cool story. And then they didn't do anything about it, so I left. And now they're fucked. And good riddance. So that's what he did. And he says, just don't start selling your family home or looking at real estate listings, and definitely don't accept any relocation assistance, since you'll have to return it when you split.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that if a company relocates you and you don't work there for X amount of time afterwards, even if it's not working out because they lied to you or changed your response, whatever, you have to pay that back. Wow. And now you're out that money. You're stuck in a new city. Jesus, what a mess. Yeah. Okay.
It's literally It's literally like the deal with the devil. That's what it is. That's
Hmm.
what it should be regarded as. It's literally you're signing a contract with a member of the nine hells. Conversely, if you let these assholes exert their power over you, you dehumanize yourself in submission. Yes, you did just read those blogs on these words on a blog written by a furry. If you take nothing away from this post, always keep this in mind. This part is gold. That's honestly, like, just as a life lesson, period, not even for work in general. If anyone's like presenting you with two options and you'd rather choose neither of them, you just choose neither and that's it.
Mhm.
I know it's hard, it's scary, it's unsafe, but really, if you just follow that golden rule, and if we all followed that golden rule, then people would not be dickheads and give ultimatums because they realize nobody would follow them to begin with.
Mhm.
So, from whence was this idiocy inspired? Nothing happens in a vacuum. Well, except arguing for capitalism. Eat shit, chuds. When more tech workers opted to earn their tech company salaries while living in cheaper cost of living houses, less tech worker money circulated to big city businesses. This outflow of money does hurt the local economies of said cities, including the ones that big tech companies are headquartered in.
Like
In some
Toronto.
cases, yep. In some cases, this pain has jeopardized a lot of the tax incentives that said companies enjoy. That's why we keep hearing about politicians praising the draconian way that the return to office policies are being enforced. Seattle mayor praises Amazon's back to office policy. Oh my god, I hope your suit gets eaten by moths or something.
Uh,
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, hold on.
Every company that issued forced relocation ultimatums to their pre-pandemic remote workers will not only lose most, if not all, of their top talent in the next year, but they will struggle to hire for at least the next coming decade. The bridge has been burnt, the well has been poisoned.
Yep. The companies that issued these ultimatums are not stupid. They had to know that some percentage of their core staff would leave over their forced relocation mandates.
Yep.
Many described it as a soft layoff
Yep.
tactic. Yes, which you saw in the last mandate that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they appreciate the breadth or depth of the burn they've inflicted. Even if they can keep their ships from sinking, the wound will fester and their culture will not easily recover. This will lead to even more brain drain.
Yep.
Furthermore, and I will say this forever, as I've said before, all your competitor has to do is to offer remote work, and guess what? They get all your best talent. It's easy. All they have to do is offer the exact same that other company offers,
Just from
and
home.
be like, nope, you can do remote. Done. Suddenly you got all the best workers, and the only people who are left are the poor, undervalued employees that feel like they can't get better. So this is like the most self-defeating bullshit on earth. I don't like, it's so dumb, and we all know deep down what it's about. It's about capital. We all know that. But I'm one thing I'm surprised by, it's that more companies aren't pushing back and saying, fuck, we're gonna hemorrhage a lot of amazing workers and all of our lives are gonna be way shittier. I guess that's just how firm the boot is on their necks.
No, what they'll do is they'll just whip new ones into shape. They feel like they can always create new stars. That's the arrogance of the middle manager, which is, well, I can always replace my top people. No, you can't. But you know, what they're pointing out here is that these H-1B visa employees whose immigration status is predicated on their ongoing employment, their ability to hop from abusive companies onto lifeboats is on the best of days limited. And that, well, that's going to get ugly.
Yep. And
Toward new opportunities. So here's
As for me, I'm enjoying some well-earned downtime before I start my new remote job. Me too, buddy. I just had 4 days off. Only 3 of them were getting mauled by my cat. Kidding. It was all 4. I wasn't foolish enough to uproot my life and everyone I love at some distant corporate asshole's whims. 'Cause holy fuck. That just basically spells it all out right there. Sorry, guys. I gotta leave because of a corporation. That's but I also wasn't impulsive enough to jump ship without a plan. That's as much as I feel comfortable saying about myself on here. Okay, again, dude, you're starting to glow a little bit. Just stop. If you're facing a similar dilemma, just know that you're not alone. Savvy companies will be taking advantage of your current employer's weakness to pan for gold, so to speak. I called this. You are not trapped. Your life is your own to live. Choose wisely. Addendum. After I posted this, it made the front page of Hacker News. It was subsequently posted in a few places. I was all the talk of the town over at Langley. No, I read between the lines.
or Quantico, one or the other. Yes.
Yeah.
After
reading some of the comments, I realized a few subtleties in my word choice didn't come across, so I'd like to clarify them. When I say RTO is bullshit, I don't mean office work is bullshit. I'll step a bridge further here, and I'll say I will say office work is bullshit because office work absolutely is bullshit. Okay, these office jobs do not need to be done in a fucking office unless there's a specific reason to be doing so. The majority of them can be done from the comfort of your own house when you're not paying for transit, not losing hours of your day in that transit, and spending on all the other costs that are required to be in a set location for 8 hours and then going home. It is bullshit.
Well, there's apparently a large group of people or some kind of group of people that are angrily defensive about their desire to drive in and commute to an office and be there. As you can see that he's got to write a defensive addendum because somebody obviously came at him pretty hard.
Yeah, and I'm just going to speak to those people and say, listen, I get it. I've been there. I've had Stockholm Syndrome. Okay? I've had the hypnosis in front of my eyes.
The water cooler.
Break free.
And all those cool people.
And I'll just say, like, if you get something out of in-person office work, maybe you're extroverted. You just need that thing with people. That's great. Do you. But don't get upset that a lot of other people choose another way. And this is a theme I think we should really embrace a lot more moving forward. Insofar as it's okay if someone else has a different choice than you. It doesn't mean they're a Nazi. Except in Canada.
Except in Canada, I was gonna say.
Those are good people up here. Those are
bullshit.
Homies, I guess.
The bullshit is changing remote workers' employment agreements without their consent and threatening voluntary resignation as the only alternative, even though that's pretty obviously constructive dismissal. And when I discuss the ultimatums above, I'm specifically referring to actual ultimatums, not colloquial understandings of the word. If you can talk with the person, negotiate with them, it's not a goddamn ultimatum. Comply or suffer. I chose freedom. So
comply or suffer. I chose freedom. That about sums up the last 5 years of my life. And I'll let everybody connect the dots there.
I don't even want to ask
that was
D-holes or Diffie.
That was a great article.
That's hilarious. Other than the fact that you're a little glowy and that you're a little weird on the COVID thing, but I would certainly like to check out this blog, this series about how to get into tech for as little as $0 without prior experience. I think that could be interesting to cover, to look at. And this is
for starters, I'd recommend Microsoft Academy. They offer fantastic courses on everything from C# to full stack. And they're all free. You can just do them at your own leisure. So Microsoft Academy is actually, is it still hold up on that.
Google had the Analytics Academy for a while also that did that free as well.
Just let me check. Okay, no, it's not Microsoft Academy anymore. It's Microsoft Training. And are these still free? Microsoft Azure Fundamentals start. Oh,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, it's still free. So just Google Microsoft Training if you wanna write your first C# code. It's a module. There's a lot of good
Sweet.
shit here. A lot of
Sweet.
good stuff here. I have a million problems with Microsoft, but as far as like them offering just free, here's how you can learn how to do this. And first off, it's smart from business because it's like, okay, well, if if you do all these Microsoft things and you get really good at it, where are you going to look for a job? Probably Microsoft, right?
Or at least
You're
using
like, hey, I
Microsoft
did.
products.
Yep, exactly. That too. And that's a good point as well. But yeah, you can definitely get there with $0, especially if you're open to sailing the high seas. I'll leave it at that.
Arr, I don't know what you mean. So
Where's the rum going, mate?
I wanted to mention that we set up a couple of playlists on INN. One playlist is dedicated to the clips and to the segments and individual stories from Nobody Wants to Work Anymore that I put out. And I've been putting out 1 or 2 a week. And I've actually been releasing one of them a day early because we pre-record this. I'm able to release one of the stories a day early for INN members and subscribers to our YouTube channel and our Patreon, which you're certainly welcome. And I encourage everyone to please go subscribe at youtube.com/Indie News Network or patreon.com/Indie News Network. You can also go to visit this guy's link tree. I'm sure he's got like some kind of link to a PayPal, Cash App, some way to hook him up in his link tree, or that I put in his links in the description. So we'll get that out there. So this is the clip playlist, and then we have for all 10 episodes, there is a playlist for all the full episodes, which is also designated as a podcast. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I have a troublemaker here. Why are you bullying me?
So we have a podcast with all the prior episodes that you can check out. This episode will be added to that list as well. And you can go right back to the beginning. We're already 10 episodes. This is episode 11, amazingly enough. We've been doing this for like 3 months already. Amazing.
Yeah.
So this week, the rest of this week on INN, since it's Thursday night into Friday, we've got Angel tomorrow afternoon at 2:15, as far as I know, unless that changes. But I believe he's got a lot to cover. A lot's happened this week. Kevin McCarthy just got ousted as Speaker of the House the other day. So whatever's going to happen there, I'm sure he'll be talking about that. With the force to vote, people being vindicated like us, and the ones that were fighting it looking really, really dumb right now, considering that the Democrats could have done the same thing to Nancy Pelosi.
We're all thinking of the same person, aren't we?
Okay. And no, I've got about 10 people in mind, but
no, I get it. I saw an unbelievably stupid tweet today, and that's all. From
Sam the Scam?
No, from shitlib Fred Flintstone. Sank.
Oh.
But it was like the doubling down on the forced to vote thing is so fucking funny. It's like, dude, you guys are you guys this narcissistic or just this like co-opted? I can't tell which. Just take the L. Admit you were wrong. I've admitted in the last 5 years, I've had to admit I was horribly wrong and apologize to a lot of people about a lot of things. Just admit that you were dumb. Okay?
And they've seen it.
I was dumb.
And they've seen it applied to the Republican side like 4 times now and work every time. And there's like, oh, I can't believe it. He sounds like Rodney Dangerfield, man. Sunday night, you'll see me in Refund. How do we miss that? We were back Sunday, had a great time. We railed on the UAW, 45-minute segment on the UAW. That will be live tomorrow morning at 8:50. Actually, this is Wednesday morning. So by the time you see this, it will be live already. So go check that out on my channel. That's at youtube.com/IND Left News. So that's a 45-minute segment about how wrong the UAW is projecting what they're doing, how wrong the corporate media and a lot of progressive media is getting it about the way that they're going to end up screwing the workers. The thing that amazed me the most is that UAW, after over 2 weeks of being on strike, has used 3.3% of their strike fund. Just 3.3%. Like,
Jesus Christ.
like they've put 25,000 workers on strike out of 146,000. That's 84 or 82% of their workforce is currently working without a contract. Well, you've got 18% of your auto workers that have been out. Some that have been out for 3 weeks, some that have been out 2 weeks. Now you got another 8,000 that are out this week or 7,000 out this week. And all you spend is 3.3% of that money because you're only paying them $500 a week. That worries me because there really hasn't been much traction from the manufacturers. They claim they've had negotiations with Stellantis and with Ford, but we really haven't seen very much yet. We've seen UAW start to complain about it. We saw them target strikes against skip Ford 1 week and then the next week hit them. Right now they're skipping Stellantis, and let's see what happens this Friday because they're giving the manufacturers basically another week to come to the table and to negotiate in good faith. So far, they're not. How long can they do this? I don't know. And if they don't put the full membership out soon, how long is the UAW full membership going to wait before they start calling no vote of confidence under this guy? I hope soon. Because I don't think this strategy is working. But I'm no expert. I'm just a guy
Don't
sitting
worry,
here. Right? Use it. Do it.
I'm sure nothing will fundamentally change.
Oh, yeah, there was that too. There was Joe Biden going to the picket lines. Let's not forget about that. And everybody wetting their pants.
Wasn't that great? Let's shuffle the old corpse in front of the picket line, do a little photo op and be like, see guys, regardless of his previous actions, which were objectively anti-worker, this shows he's pro-worker. And people actually bought it. Like, what the
They called it the most pro-union. All right, so we've gotten most pro-union president of our lifetimes. We've gotten a historic visit, a historic strike because it's been all three manufacturers, and all three of them are not nearly what they're selling them to be.
Dude, first off, what does most pro-union president even mean? Like, you can, like...
I'm gonna put my boots on, my walking boots.
You can still be objectively anti-union, even if they're all anti-union, and then one president's like, fucking, oh, I stand in this picket line for 15 minutes. Technically, they're the most pro-union, and this is how they get you. It's like, well, technically, I can't argue that, but nobody wants to go that's not even remotely good enough. Holy shit, how are you accepting these crumbs? This person is anti-union, period. We're not going to use these like, well, who's the lesser evil? Who's like the most like in the right direction? Reject these things, guys. Reject this bullshit. Be like, no, unacceptable. Not even remotely acceptable. And just have that attitude when it comes to these politician shitheads who want to put a boot on your neck every single day. Okay? That's your attitude. That's your strategy you should have. Okay? Not good enough. Across the board. None of the above.
So I wanted to call attention to one other thing. And our friend Sabs brought this to my attention. I don't know, a few days ago. And where are we? I got to find it. Here we go. Yeah, I got it. Nice. I got it. Here we go.
No. Fuck.
Oh, dude, he's side by side. Oh my god, it's a doppelganger. Holy shit.
Hold on. I'll try. Hold on. That's a really weird facial expression. Hold on.
Holy shit, that's so goddamn funny. Okay, y'all. All right, so the deal is that he was sentenced to prison for assault with a weapon. Okay, he was born in Alabama, currently lives in Butte, Montana. Well, now he's living in prison because he just got a 10-year sentence. He hit another man. He pistol whipped a dude on the head with a beer bottle, and the victim had an ear severed and multiple pieces of glass. Nice dude. But Sabby literally messaged me with this, and she's like, "Is that Himbo?" And I'm like, no, he doesn't live in Montana. He lives in Canada, and he's a peaceful kind of guy, and he wouldn't hit anybody with a bottle. But I had to bring that as a little humor for the end.
To clarify, I wouldn't hit a worker with a bottle.
Nice, very nice.
What was his? Out of curiosity, what was his name?
Scott Colin Campbell.
Campbell. Okay, so generic white guy. Well, I mean, we all kind of look.
I'm just an everyday, average, normal guy. That's right.
Exactly.
And then there's even there's the entire statement, the script thing about the affidavit and everything. It's not a good story, but it's just the doppelganger was just too much. Oh wait. Oh shit, I missed this part of it. Reporting from the Daily Montanan identified Campbell as the leader of a Montana chapter of White Lives Matter, which the Southern Poverty Law Center calls a hate group that promotes a neo-Nazi ideology. So your doppelganger's a neo-Nazi leader on top of it, bro.
Well, shit, I'm Canadian, so I get why people are making the mistake now. They're like, wait, neo-Nazi, Himbo's Canadian. Shit, it's got to be the same now.
Not this guy. He does not live in Butte, Montana, and that guy is now in jail for 10 years and has to pay $520 in restitution. So I thought that would be a fun way to end it. A neo-Nazi doppelganger for Himbo.
He's got to watch his Butte over there.
Got him. Wow. Oh my God.
We're fucked.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we are.
Well.
Help me, Jesus!
Yeah. That's what I have to say. Help me, Jesus. Well, but not just help me, Jesus.
Help me, Jewish God! Help me, Allah!
Well, we got to do that. And then.
Oh, help me, Oprah Winfrey!
And of course.
Help me, Tom Cruise!
Got to finish with Tom.
Nice.
So we're asking for help from anybody at this point because, of course, we all know nobody wants to work anymore.
Nobody wants to work anymore. Oh, that was perfect. Synchronized.
There you go, guys. Have a great night, everybody. Holy shit. Keep questioning everyone's motivations, and we will hopefully see you next week. And we'll hear all about Himbo's first week on the job. So, night, everyone.
Indie News Network, collaborative family of independent content creators. Co-hosted normally by me, Indie. I'm founder and editor of Indie Left News and Indie Media Today. I got Reef Breland sitting next to me.
At Kennedy News.
Is Andrew Rivera on The Handsome Cynic?
It's Politics and Survival.
My name is Jesse Jett.
It's American Tradition.
What's up, Space Monkeys? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden.
I mostly make art for INN.
Big Man Crab Joe. Keep up those great videos.
Hey guys, it's Yeti. Coming at you.
Hello, my name is Lucy from Blue Moon Red Wine.
This is Chris Legion.
Keep fighting that good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Who are these people?